Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a combo that one of you guys kind of requested to see, or at least you wanted to see a few of my more random shells through this particular choke to see if it would work or not. And we've definitely got a rather interesting combination today, and I quite honestly have no idea how it's going to perform because it could legitimately go either way. But as for the load I brought here today, I got out some more of the Hevi-Shot Hevi-Bismuth Turkey shells. They are a 12 gauge, 3 inch, 1 3/4 ounce payload of bismuth 4s and 5s blended together, moving at about 1,300 feet per second. Now, Hevi-Shot loads can be a little hit or miss sometimes. Some of their stuff is pretty decent, others is pretty disappointing, and these shells have been okay so far in our testing from what I can remember, but I have no idea what they're going to do through today's choke. But for today's setup, I brought out the Remington 1187. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for that choke, one of you guys wanted to see some of my more random stuff through the Carlson's heavyweight TSS 640 constriction. So we've got a lot of choke here today, and there is a very good possibility that 640 is way too tight for these bismuth 4 and 5 blend shells. I've never run a bismuth load through this tight of a choke, so I don't know if it's going to work out or not. It could completely ruin our pattern, but sometimes these little bit more oddball combinations like this can surprise you, so who knows what we're going to see. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the turkey paper at 40 yards and the chronograph so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see if a Hevi-Shot bismuth blend shell can work out at all through this tight of a choke at 640 constriction. I don't know what we're going to get, but let's take our shot and see what happens. All right, that shell gave us 1355 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1300. So from our 28-inch barrel, plus a little bit of choke sticking out of the end, we are a little bit above that claim, and we're definitely starting to move on out pretty good for a turkey load. But they are a bismuth shell, so you kind of want that little bit higher velocity to carry that energy down there all the way out to 40. So we're looking okay for a velocity, but what kind of a pattern did they give us through that 640 Carlson's? Let's go check it out and see. All right, well, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is kind of about what I expected to see. We absolutely do have a dead bird all day long. There's one through the brain and a number more down the spine there, but I do think our pattern might have been just a touch off to the left. It really didn't make a huge difference because you would have gotten that bird either way. That pattern does give you a good amount of leeway to work with, but it is a little bit on the blotchy side as well. Now, from our previous testing with these in both 12 and 20 gauge, they were some surprisingly decent shells for both a Hevi-Shot load and a bismuth load. They weren't like Longbeard XR type of performance, but they did give us a better pattern than this. I believe we tried them through a 665 the last time in 12 gauge, and we definitely saw a much more even and a little more condensed of a pattern as well. But we'll move in here and look at our core. It's not anything super amazing. It might be just a touch hotter than some of the stuff around the edges, and it would get the job done. It would give you leeway to work with, so it is a 40-yard capable combination, and you guys won't be able to tell on camera really, but it is a pretty decent mixture of both the 4s and the 5s, so at least it's got that going for it. Now, around the edges, we definitely pick up a lot of little splotchy areas, like right above that bird's head. There's no pellets there at all, and we pretty well covered most of the rest of the paper all the way around the edges. Down there at the very bottom, there's some pellets and stuff too, so not anything I would call great for a turkey pattern. If you had this combo or wanted to use this combo, sure, it would get the job done out to 40 yards for you just fine, but you definitely have some voids and some little scattered flyers and shot kind of all over the place. Not the tightest or the most even pattern, and I think that's probably about what a lot of us expected to see. We definitely did not gain any advantage by going down to a 640 choke, I can tell you that. I'd say we pretty well moved the other way, where it's now too much choke and we're starting to blow our pattern open and get a whole bunch of splotchy stuff all over the place there. So no advantage was gained by going to that tight of a choke, and I was definitely curious to see how a bismuth shell would do with that constriction as well, since bismuth kind of tends to act a little bit like a lead pellet as far as deformation and stuff goes when you fire it through a tight choke. But I've never patterned a bismuth load through that tight of a choke, and now at least we know it probably won't give us very much of an advantage at all. So I don't think it's anything too unexpected here. This is not a bad turkey pattern. We've seen way worse, but for this shell, it's just too much constriction. It's just not necessary. We've seen a little better result through much more open choke, and I think if we run that 660 to 665 range, that's probably going to be pretty realistic for what these shells want. So no need for a 640 in this case, I wouldn't say. And here's the wad from that shell. Very basic design overall, but there's nothing stuck down in there. We did have one pedal kind of twist a little bit. That could have been from hitting the ground or something, I don't know. But really not too much damage for going through that tight of a choke, to be honest with you. I've seen way worse, but that choke is not ported. It doesn't have any kind of straight rifling or wad stripping bands or rings in it or anything like that. It's just a smooth, straight up 640 constriction, which I do think helps to not tear things up a little bit. But again, I just think it's too tight of a choke, but the wad doesn't look anything out of the normal for what these typically do. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that result right there? That's an okay pattern. It's more than good enough for a 40-yard turkey hunt, and to be honest with you, we've seen worse out of other heavy shot loads and other bismuth loads through a regular like 665 turkey choke than what that gave us right there. So that's definitely not the worst we've seen by a long shot, and it would do the job perfectly fine out to 40 yards if you had this combo or wanted to use it, but I don't think you're gaining any kind of pattern advantage going to a 640 choke. If you've got something 660, 665, I think you're probably going to be a little bit better off, have a little bit higher chance of getting a nice even condensed pattern than what that gave us. We definitely picked up a number of voids in there. We scattered pellets all over the outskirt edges of that paper with no real hot core advantage either. So ultimately, I think it did about what I expected it to coming into it, but it was just one of those oddball combinations, and one of you guys wanted to see us test some of those more oddball type of shells through that 640 choke. So I figured, who knows, it could have surprised us. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of those Hevi-Shot Hevi-Bismuth Turkey loads or Carlson 640 heavyweight choke? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is that a pattern or a combo you would hunt with? Or would you want to see a little more even of a spread, tighter of a spread, or just not even bother with a bismuth load for turkeys anyway? And what other shell or choke combos do you want to see with either those heavy bismuth loads or that Carlson 640 choke? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description down below if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.